HOA stole our family warehouse and rented it out. Now their president is in federal prison. What would you do if a powerful organization tried to seize your family's property, claiming it as their own, and started profiting from it right under your nose? The echoing silence of the old brick warehouse, Unit 7B, was a familiar comfort to me. Nestled on the edge of what used to be the industrial district of Havenwood, it had been in my family for over 70 years. My grandfather, a master craftsman, had built it with his own hands, and it held not just his old tools and my father's forgotten inventions, but a treasure trove of family history and sentimental value. I, Marcus Thorne, a self-employed antique restorer, used it as my workshop, its spacious interior perfect for large projects. Our property lines were clearly defined by an old chain-link fence and a small, weathered sign. Thorne family property. Then came Karen, not with a polite inquiry, but with a jarring discovery. I'd driven by one afternoon, intending to pick up some salvaged wood, only to find a flurry of activity. Bright, glossy banners proclaiming Maplewood Storage Solutions hung over the entrance. A steady stream of luxury cars pulled up, and impeccably dressed individuals were moving boxes and furniture into my warehouse. And there, clipboard in hand, directing the chaos with an air of absolute authority, was Brenda Albright, the notoriously aggressive president of the Maplewood Estates HOA, a sprawling, upscale residential development that had recently expanded into the renovated industrial zone. "Welcome, clients," Brenda trilled, her voice echoing off the brick walls. "Our exclusive, secure storage units are filling up fast. Don't forget your monthly access fees are due by the 5th. And remember, this facility is for Maplewood Estates residents only." She gestured proudly towards my warehouse, which now had several brightly painted Unit A, Unit B, Unit C signs slapped onto its exterior. The main conflict, audacious and utterly infuriating, was laid bare. Brenda, armed with a fabricated business and a complete disregard for private property, was running a commercial storage facility out of my family's cherished warehouse, without my knowledge or permission, all while collecting hefty fees from her HOA residents. Her demands were not only illegal, but a profound desecration of my family's legacy. Her attitude reeked of self-importance, believing my unused property was simply an underutilized asset for her profit and her HOA's expansion. I stared at her, a cold fury settling in my gut. "Brenda," I said, my voice low and steady, "what in the world is going on here? This is my private property. This is the Thorne family warehouse. You have no right to be here, let alone run a storage solution out of it." I even pulled out my laminated deed and property tax statements, clearly showing my ownership. Brenda, however, merely scoffed, waving a dismissive hand at the confused clients. "Mr. Thorne, don't be ridiculous. This warehouse was designated as a community amenity by the Maplewood Estates HOA, and since it was vacant and abandoned for so long, we merely decided to activate it for the benefit of our residents and their valuable belongings. Consider it a community service, really. We'll send you a modest reimbursement fee at the end of the fiscal year. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a new client arriving for Unit C." Her tone was condescending, her eyes holding a glint of perverse pleasure, as if she enjoyed watching my distress. I tried to explain the illegal nature of her actions, pointing out the clear, private property signs she had brazenly covered with her own Maplewood storage banners. Brenda simply ignored me, turning her back and ushering a new client into my warehouse, effectively locking me out of my own property. The situation was beyond infuriating. Then, her audacity escalated into a direct, shocking act of destruction and theft. I later discovered that she had not only changed the locks on my warehouse, but had actually demolished a section of the interior wall to create more storage units, irreversibly altering the historic structure. And worse, she had cleared out my grandfather's entire collection of irreplaceable antique tools and my father's prototypes, selling them off to make space for her new tenants. These weren't just tools. They were family heirlooms, some dating back a century, essential for my restoration work, and utterly priceless. It was a calculated, malicious act of vandalism and grand theft, designed to cripple my livelihood and erase my family's legacy. Right after discovering the demolition and the theft of my family's tools, a crucial twist unfolded from an unexpected source. Old Mr. Finch, the retired archivist from the Havenwood Historical Society, happened to be delivering some documents to a new resident in Maplewood Estates. He'd seen Brenda's new venture, and, being an avid local historian, felt a pang of unease. He knew the Thorne family warehouse was a designated historical landmark. He immediately paid me a visit, bringing with him not just copies of my original deeds, but also a meticulously preserved audio recording of the 1952 Town Council meeting where the Thorne family warehouse was officially declared a heritage craftsmanship landmark and granted specific protections against alteration or commercial use by anyone other than direct descendants. The recording, surprisingly clear, included a brief, almost prophetic, mention of preventing unscrupulous developers from altering its character. He also provided photographs of the specific, unique tools, now missing, from a historical society exhibit. The larger consequence of Brenda's actions became terrifyingly clear. My grandfather's tools weren't just personal heirlooms. Many of them were unique, handcrafted implements, several of which were being studied by the Smithsonian Institute for a national exhibit on American industrial heritage. Her deliberate destruction of the warehouse's interior and the theft of these priceless tools weren't just a petty act of vandalism. It directly jeopardized a critical national cultural preservation effort, setting back years of vital historical research and potentially causing the irreparable loss of invaluable artifacts. Her petty profit scheme had now escalated into a significant federal crime, elevating her personal arrogance to a matter of profound cultural and historical importance. Armed with Mr. Finch's irrefutable audio recording and historical documents, the furious curator of the Smithsonian exhibit, and my own burning desire for justice, I didn't just call a lawyer. I called the local news station, ensuring a live crew was dispatched. I also contacted the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, given the theft of artifacts intended for a national museum. The next morning, as Brenda was conducting a grand opening ribbon-cutting ceremony for her Maplewood Storage Solutions, guiding a new group of unsuspecting clients, the news van pulled up, its satellite dish unfolding. The FBI vehicles and two dark sedans from the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, Cultural Property Protection Unit followed close behind. Brenda, in a dazzling power suit, radiating her usual icy confidence, came out to greet them, clearly assuming they were there for a feel-good story about her entrepreneurial spirit. "Welcome, Channel 5 News," Brenda trilled, striking a pose for the camera, her hand poised to cut the ribbon. "You're just in time to capture the launch of Maplewood's newest community amenity, a testament to our vision." She smiled, a predatory gleam in her eyes, oblivious to the grim faces of the officials. "Actually, Ms. Albright," I retorted, stepping forward, holding up a copy of the historical landmark designation. "You're just in time to witness the exposure of a massive fraud, cultural desecration, and grand theft." I then played Mr. Finch's 1952 Town Council meeting audio recording on a portable speaker, clearly detailing the warehouse's protected status. The news crew started murmuring excitedly, their cameras zooming in on Brenda's face, which contorted in disbelief, then pure, unadulterated rage. "That's manipulated. That old man is a lunatic. This is a malicious attack on my character and my legitimate business," she shrieked, desperately trying to manipulate the situation, her voice shrill and breaking. She started pointing fingers, trying to blame Mr. Finch, me, anyone but herself. Just as her tirade reached its peak, the silence was shattered by the distinct click of handcuffs. The DHS agent stepped forward, followed by the FBI special agent in charge of financial crimes. The DHS agent spoke first, his voice cold and cutting. "Brenda Albright, you are under arrest for the illegal alteration of a federally designated historical landmark and for the theft and attempted sale of cultural artifacts intended for the Smithsonian Institute. This is a severe federal offense, carrying significant prison time." The FBI special agent stepped forward. "And Ms. Albright, we've also been investigating reports of widespread financial fraud within the Maplewood Estates HOA, specifically regarding the fraudulent allocation of maintenance fees and the diversion of HOA funds to shell corporations ostensibly for community investments." Your Maplewood Storage Solutions appears to be an unlicensed, uninsured commercial operation collecting substantial fees, none of which have been properly declared or taxed, and serving as a front for a much larger scheme. Furthermore, we have evidence of significant sums of HOA funds being diverted to offshore accounts linked to your shell corporations, ostensibly for development projects that never materialized, and a history of targeting valuable properties for forced acquisition. A nervous murmur rippled through the gathered Maplewood Estates residents as one, clutching a storage contract, stammered to the FBI agent. She told us the storage fees were part of our exclusive amenities. We thought we were supporting the community. It was a chilling revelation. Brenda wasn't just a busybody. She was a criminal mastermind, systematically defrauding her own residents, attempting to seize valuable historical property, and exploiting cultural heritage for massive personal profit, with the storage solution merely a cover for her grand scheme. A past incident, whispered among her former colleagues, revealed that Brenda had been previously convicted of minor fraud in another state, involving a real estate scam. The consequences for Brenda Albright were immediate and utterly devastating. She was arrested by the FBI and DHS agents on multiple charges, including federal offenses for cultural property theft and destruction, felony fraud, operating an unlicensed business, and later, as the full extent of the fraud was uncovered, for massive embezzlement, wire fraud, and racketeering. The Maplewood Estates HOA was placed under immediate federal oversight, its assets frozen, and a full forensic audit exposed tens of millions in stolen funds, a systematic scheme orchestrated by Brenda and her network. Her carefully cultivated image as the benevolent community leader shattered into irreparable pieces. The HOA residents she had once intimidated and defrauded now turned on her, furious at being manipulated and exploited, their HOA funds stolen. Her social circles, built on an illusion of wealth and influence, abandoned her completely, unwilling to be associated with such public disgrace. Her vast real estate holdings, her fortune, her status, her perceived power all confiscated as part of the ongoing investigation and subsequent lawsuits. She lost everything: her freedom, her fortune, and her reputation. The ultimate irony was that her audacious attempt to steal and profit from my family's historic warehouse led to the complete unraveling of her vast, illegal enterprise, culminating in a federal prison sentence. As for Thorne Family Warehouse, it was immediately returned to my possession. The damaged walls were meticulously restored with funding from Brenda's seized assets, and the Smithsonian, with the help of the FBI, recovered most of my grandfather's tools, meticulously cataloging them before their eventual display. The satisfaction was immense, watching her literal and figurative empire crumble before her eyes, a quiet triumph of justice and historical preservation over arrogant greed and rampant criminality. What's your take on this? When someone so brazenly abuses power, steals cultural heritage, and defrauds an entire community for personal gain, does their complete and utter downfall, even to federal prison, truly serve justice? Or is there a point where the consequences become too extreme?